If you're looking to optimize your time so it does align with your priorities, goals, and the lifestyle you want to create for yourself, then this episode is for you. I've created 10 rules that will help you steer away from distractions, energy vampires, and anything or anyone that may waste your time. It must be understood that what I'm about to share may be hard to hear, it may offend, and it may even question your own beliefs. All I ask is you keep an open mind and know that I'm speaking from personal experience. Please understand implementing these rules may come with some resistance, but that's the cost of living a lifestyle by design. So here are the 10 rules. Rule 1, if it's not a fuck yes, it's a no. This tends to be one of the biggest hurdles that I find for a lot of clients, people on social media, my community. I was recently on a run with somebody the other morning, and they were sharing with me how hard it is for them to say no to someone. And I think what has allowed me to get better at saying no to people, opportunities, invites, is recognizing that my time and attention there's only so much in a given day, right? So when you're in that exploratory phase of your life and you're just testing and trying and kind of seeing where things go, it is good to say yes to a lot of things because you're just following your curiosity. When you start to get clear on what really matters, what you want to do, you need to really be mindful of that time that you're allocating to the things you're saying yes to. So a good rule of thumb is if it doesn't fully excite you, if you're not fired up about saying yes, you probably should pass on that. And there are probably instances in your life where you can think even recently, you get invited to something, you don't want to go, you say yes. Then you're dreading the time leading up to that event. If it's in a few weeks, you're beating yourself up mentally because you're like, I don't want to go to this thing, but I said yes. Then the day comes, you're pissed off that you're going. Then you're there, you're hating it. After the fact, you have resentment that you went. What does this all add up to? Just a bunch of wasted time and energy, valuable resources of yours that could be spent elsewhere designing the life you want for yourself, but instead it was wasted people pleasing, doing something that you don't want to do. So that first rule is all about say no to things unless it is an absolute yes. You will be so happy that you did, and put that time and energy towards the people, the things, the activities, the hobbies that you really enjoy most. Number 2, saying I don't have the time is really you saying I don't want to prioritize this. How many times do we use this excuse? I don't have enough time. I don't have enough time. Okay. The buck stops here with that today. No longer is the excuse, I don't have time. Because in reality, what you are saying is you just are choosing not to prioritize this. Because if it was something that really mattered a lot to you, you would carve out the time for it. So if there's something in your life that is so clear to you that you want to add into your life more, allocate time towards it, schedule it in, put it on your calendar. This is going to make it a routine, habitual, right? There's 24 hours in a day. How you split that up is your responsibility. So quit making this excuse. You don't have time for the gym. You don't have enough time to start that blog. You don't have time to date. All you're doing is making up an excuse. Okay. So please stop telling yourself, I don't have enough time for this. Create the time for it. If it's something that you really value, something you want to do, you will find the way to create the time for it. Number 3, systemize and schedule everything in advance. It will eliminate small daily decisions and hold you accountable. Okay. This goes kind of off the same vein of what I was just talking about with scheduling things in. When you schedule things in advance, you don't have to think about it so much. It's locked in your calendar. You don't have to ask yourself, when are you going to be going to the gym? You know, every morning at 7 a.m., you're going to be in the gym. When you figure out a certain day of the week that you're going to grocery shop, do your laundry, when you're going to send emails for opportunities, right? This is systemizing your life in a way that you no longer have this daily decision of when are you going to do these things. Systemizing it gives you internal peace because you're able to just follow this custom schedule laid out in advance, and you follow it one step at a time, and you recognize that because you systemized and scheduled your life in advance, you know that all of your goals and your priorities and things that matter most to you are in alignment with your schedule. I try to schedule out everything in advance. When I record my podcast, when I create content, when I go to the gym, when I meditate, when I grocery shop, when I do my laundry, when I'm going to carve out time for personal experiences, when I'm going to have, one-on-one moments with my partner on a date night, right? Scheduling these things out in advance, putting it to your calendar is going to help make it easier for you to follow through on showing up consistently with some of these things that are important to you. And by doing that, you eliminate the decision fatigue of constantly asking yourself, when am I going to be doing this? When am I going to do that? Systemize it and schedule it. And systemizing too could also be recognizing how important your time is. One thing that I systemize and pay for service-wise is having my grass cut, having someone deliver my groceries on a weekly basis. I do the math on how much time it would cost me if I wanted to do these things myself. And I look at how much I value my time. I look at how much time it would cost me to run to the grocery store and come back. Then I look at the value or the dollar signs it costs to pay someone to do that. And I value my own time at X amount of dollars per hour. It's easy for me to outsource and pay for the grass to be cut, pay for someone to deliver the groceries. So systemize and schedule out everything in advance, create more time for yourself. Number 4, people pleasing stops right here, right now. This one needed its own bullet, right? This kind of goes off to the same rule as number 1, but the people pleasing, it needs to stop. You're wasting so much valuable time, energy, and honestly, probably money doing things you don't want to do, but you're doing it because you want to people please others. I get it. You care about people. You want to make people feel good. You want to be that person to help others. I'm not saying you can't be that person, but I'm saying you need to create boundaries. You need to create your own system of when you're allowed to do these things, when you're going to pick up the phone on a moment's notice, right? So the people pleasing is going to be your biggest hurdle to stepping into the dream life that you want for yourself, because it's probably the thing that is the biggest distraction. So people pleasing needs to be eliminated. It needs to stop right here, right now. And it needs to be this thought and question to yourself of, do I want to do this or do I not? And also, why am I feeling the need to people please? Eliminate it. Today's the day. No longer are you allowed to people please. Number 5, every second, minute, and hour matters. Do not take them for granted. At a high level, right? Abundance of time for us to work with. That can be the biggest problem, is we think we've got nothing but time, right? Clock's ticking. Currently I'm 29 years young. I got nothing but time to kill. I can figure this all out. That mindset is good. It's good to have that abundance mindset, knowing that I have plenty of time left to kind of build my dreams and create the life that I want for myself. But it also can be a big problem, because it could be the thing that stops me and that is keeping me stagnant and frozen in this very moment. So I want you to start looking at every second, minute, and hour in your day as an opportunity. Doesn't mean you need to create this scarcity, this stress in you that you got to be moving, you got to be grooving every second. It's just being more mindful about the time that we have each day. I think most people don't recognize how much time is being wasted scrolling on their phone, wasted going to things that they don't want to go to, wasted seeing that, I have 30 minutes in between my next meeting. So I guess I might as well just kind of scroll on social media until that meeting comes. I don't have enough time to do a task. We waste so much valuable time on a daily basis on the wrong things. If you started to do the math, 20 minutes here, 15 minutes there, 35 minutes there, you would probably be shocked with how much time is being wasted. So I want you to start being intentional about the time every single day, and how can you actually maximize it? How can you use those seconds, those minutes to truly start transforming and creating the life that you want for yourself? And it depends on the season of life you're in. What your priorities are is going to be pretty much how you end up spending that free time, right? So if you're working a full-time job and you're trying to build your side business, You should be utilizing every minute of downtime that you have towards building that business. And through that process, you will see the results. You will see exponential results in the future, in the coming weeks, in the coming months, because you're allocating that time. So please, every second, minute, and hour matters. Do not take them for granted. Before we go to number 6, if you are listening to this podcast and you're someone that's not already subscribed to my newsletter, if you want to gain momentum within 60 seconds every Monday, please check out our Stay on Track newsletter at bobbyhobert.com/stay on track. Once again, that's bobbyhobert.com/stay on track. 60-second newsletter directly to your inbox every Monday morning to help you create momentum for the day ahead. That is also linked up in the description below. Number 6, set guilt-free boundaries so that you can protect your time, attention, and energy. Boundaries are the key to freedom. Create these boundaries and be unapologetic about it. You're doing this to protect your most valuable resources, which is your time and your energy and your attention. Okay. So, for example, a boundary that I have for myself is I don't check my cell phone, texts, emails, don't even look at my phone for the first 3 hours of my day. I wake up at 6 a.m. I'm not scrolling. I'm not looking. I'm not responding until 9 a.m. when I sit down and I start working. The first 3 hours of my day are very much prioritized towards my mental, physical, and spiritual well-being, and it allows me to show up to the day as the best version of me. That's an example of a boundary I have for myself. Another boundary, and a lot of these I think come down to social, digital boundaries, but I guess another example would be I'm very mindful with how many social activities I'm committing myself to. So for example, tomorrow night, I have a dinner with somebody. Because of that, I will be intentional and not schedule anything tonight because I try to alternate every other night when I'm allowing myself to be social and then having those nights to kind of recharge, rest, have solitude, be by myself, be with my partner, and recharge the batteries. So figure out what boundaries do you need in your life and set them in place and be unapologetic about them. You don't need to give anyone an excuse as to why you have them. Don't apologize for having them. Do what you feel is needed for you in this time of your life, and you will never regret it because it will give you more freedom to build the life you want for yourself. And if there's anything that we're here to do with my podcast, with this content that I put out, I'm trying to encourage you to all of you to really step in, take responsibility for creating and manifesting the life that you want for yourself. Number 7, we can do everything, but we can't do it all at once. This is so crucial. Great book I read a few years ago called Essentialism by Greg McKeown. I think that's how you say his last name. Fantastic book. Essentially, the thought is this: less, comma, but better. Let me say it one more time. Less, comma, but better. We only have so much time, energy, attention. How many times am I going to say that in this podcast and many podcasts to come? I don't know. Somebody start a counter, but it's going to be a lot. You only have so much time, attention, and energy in a given day. It is impossible to do everything at once. It's actually the worst thing you can do. I would encourage you to go all in on one thing at a time. Once you have that locked in, systemized, and it's running on itself, then maybe move on to the next thing. An example would be me as a content creator. I didn't just start recording podcasts, putting out short form content, putting out a newsletter. I didn't do that all at once. I started with just a podcast, got comfortable with that. Then I added in Instagram content, got comfortable with that. Then I added the newsletter. You slowly build, right? So it's good to have all of these ideas that you have for yourself and the life you want to live. You want to start the business, you want to do X, you want to do Y. Keep that list, right? Never lose sight of all of these goals you have for yourself. But then what you need to do is select one of them and go all in on it. Give all of your time, attention, energy, resources towards that one thing, and do not lose sight of it and do not move on from it until you feel you're in a good place from it. So it's this mindset that you can truly do everything. I truly believe that. I think it's timing that plays a crucial role in when, and you just need to recognize that. So create that list, maybe just organize it on what feels like the highest priority right now, what can wait, and then go all in. Just remember, you can do everything at once. excuse me, you can't, let me say that again. We can do everything, but we just can't do it at once. So keep that in mind. Number 8, show me your calendar and I'll show you your priorities. How you're spending your time each day is exactly what you're prioritizing. Okay. So if you're spending time with people that make you feel like shit, that just don't encourage you, that are kind of steering you on a path that you don't want to go down, it's probably a good time to change up that environment. It's probably a good time to stop allocating time towards them and reprioritizing that time towards your priorities. So look at how you're spending even today, presently, this when you're listening to this podcast, if it's the morning, if it's the middle of the day, the end of the day, look at today alone. How did you spend your time? Did you spend it on things that were valuable and are aligned with you? Or did you spend it doing things that just aren't aligned with the lifestyle you want for yourself or the person you want to become? Now, I get it. You got to work a job that maybe you don't love. You got to do certain things that you don't necessarily want to do. I get that. I'm more talking about what is within your control, which is the hours outside of that. Are you spending that free time on things that are aligned with you, or are you wasting it on things that maybe are not in alignment? So please look at how you're spending your time on your calendar and find ways to make sure that the time you are spending that is within your control, example, outside of, work or things that you just have to do, where are you spending that time? Number 9, healthy habits create momentum for the day ahead. Prioritize them first thing each morning. I live by this philosophy of you win the morning, you win the day, and I'm a true believer of it. If you create momentum in the beginning part of your day with your healthy habits, you will feel unstoppable throughout the rest of the day. It's also true that by, it's telling yourself you're going to work out at the end of the day, there's so many external things that can happen that would stop you from working out. A meeting runs late, you're not feeling as motivated, you're kind of tired, you get invited to a dinner last minute, whatever it is. All I can hear is excuses, excuses, excuses. So please consider creating momentum for the day ahead by prioritizing those healthy habits, a physical workout, maybe some mental meditation, mindfulness practice, maybe journaling, maybe some reading. What are those things that make you feel your best self, and prioritize them first thing in the morning to create that momentum for the day ahead? You will feel unstoppable because of it. Last rule, number 10, work-life balance isn't an option. It's a requirement. This comes in seasons of life. This is coming from somebody that pretty much for 3 years, just my holy grail was work, work, work. That was my motto. That's all I did. I carved out time here and there for balance, but I really neglected that area of my life. In those moments of my life, I felt like I would be losing momentum and I would be losing productivity, quote unquote, by not working every day, every hour, so and so forth. And through the process of unwiring that belief and now living in a place of balance, balance is key. It actually gives your mind time to rest, recharge. And some of my greatest ideas come when my unconsciousness is working. I get my best ideas in the gym, when on a walk, when watching Harry Potter last night. These ideas just kind of come to me when I'm not looking for them. And I take a moment to sit down, or I take a moment to write down a note to revisit it later. But that wouldn't happen if I just thought that work, work, work was everything I needed to be doing. So yes, work hard, prioritize yourself every day in the sense of like your priorities and your goals and the things you're working on within your work life, but also recognizing that the balance is a key component. In order for you to operate at your highest level and feel your best self mentally, physically, spiritually, you're going to need balance. There will be seasons of life of when you have more balance than not, but please do not neglect this area of your life. It is extremely, extremely important. That's rule number 10. 3 quotes to inspire you. 1, lack of a direction, not lack of time is the problem. We all have 24 hours in a day. So please just be mindful of how you're spending them. Number 2, we all know our money isn't infinite, yet we end up treating our time and energy and attention as if they are. This is all about creating those boundaries, recognizing that every day your time, attention, and energy could be wasted on the things that are not in alignment with you. And I promise you, when you step into that day where your attention, energy, time is being spent on things, activities, hobbies, passions, people that are fully in alignment with you, you will sleep with inner peace at night because you will know your time wasn't wasted during that day. And number 3, a plan is a what? A schedule is a when. It takes both a plan and a schedule to get things done, right? Don't wait for motivation to hit. Create the discipline and the motivation by doing. And the best way to do that is by scheduling it in advance. If you're trying to build a habit, if you're trying to become more consistent with something, if you're trying to just completely hit the reset button on certain areas of your life, schedule it in. This is how you create the discipline. And the only way to create the motivation is by actually doing. So please do that. 4 questions for you to journal on. 1, what or who is pulling energy out of me? Think about that. Be honest with yourself. The action behind that would be start creating boundaries to protect your time and energy from these people. It won't be easy, but you need to do this if you really want to step into a life that is fully in alignment with you, that isn't wasting your time and energy. Number 2, what have I recently said yes to that I should have said no? Think about it. I bet you there is something, whether it's something recently, something that's coming up in 3 to 4 weeks, something might be 6 months out. The action is, if there is still time, communicate that you will no longer be available to attend. So be extremely uncomfortable to do if this is your first time. But after that, I promise you, it will feel so relieving to do this, to take control of your time and to communicate to people and pass on things that just aren't in alignment with you. Number 3, what areas of my life am I neglecting the most right now but need attention? Ask yourself this and be absolutely honest. Something might come up and you might be like, that's not it. That's probably it, right? So with that in mind, the action behind that would be carve out time within the next week to give this part of your life some attention. Don't neglect it any longer. Let this moment, this episode be the thing that encourages you to finally take some action. Number 4, what boundaries do I need to implement to my work/career life? Be honest with yourself about this. What are some of those boundaries? If it's how you're communicating with people internally, responding to emails at 8 p.m., if it's, feeling like you're being pushed around, the action behind this should be communicate these boundaries to your boss, your coworker, or your employees this week. Submitted questions from the community. Ellen asked, how do you combat task anxiety? This is a great question. The best way to do this is create a to-do list every single day, but be realistic about how much you can get done in a given day. What helps me feel less anxious is knowing that even if I don't get to certain tasks or I see there are 15 other tasks on my to-do list that I haven't had time to get to, I know that they are tracked, that they are written down, that I won't forget them because I see them right here. So create healthy internal pressure every day. Be honest with yourself about how much you can get done. When you get to the end of the day and there are more things that maybe still need to get done, be excited recognizing that there is more work to be done because there always will be. So don't expect yourself to always be able to get through that task list. There's always going to be more work that needs to get done. Let that be excitement for you, knowing that the next day you already know what are those top priorities for you in that day. Joseph asked, how do you manage your time and maintain a healthy relationship with your partner? This is really, really good. Something that I've had to learn and hasn't been easy, right? So how you manage your time and maintain a healthy relationship really is going to depend on what works best for you. For me, it goes back to scheduling, as I said before, right? Scheduling things in advance. So I know my working hours, that's when I'm spending time working on my business, career, so forth. I think there are little pockets in our day where I'm able to check in with my partner, whether it's we're passing by during lunch, or even this morning, my partner, communicated that she kind of felt like we just constantly just wake up, work, and keep moving along. And her signaling that to me allowed us to have a 15, 20-minute breakfast conversation. And I owe the credit to her for that. So it's kind of just working with your partner and figuring that out. I think we do a really good job of turning off work mode at the end of the day and enjoying our time together, whether that's going for a walk, watching a movie, making dinner together. And then I think when it comes to the weekends, we do a good job of leaning into experiences. Now living in Austin, in a new city for the last 2 months, there's always new things for us to do. So that's when we'll, go out there and spend that time checking out and exploring the city. So I think it's really just making sure that, once again, my calendar aligns with my partner. She knows, what I have coming up this week or this weekend. I know what she's got going on. And then we're intentional about finding those pockets that allow us to, have our time together in the relationship. But it's a work in progress. And I can see, even just from the communication today, that I have some work on my end to do of making sure that there's even more touch points in our day. So it doesn't feel like we're just working and then, we have our time at the end of the day. So that's a great question. My challenge for you, if you made it this far in this episode, create your own personal rules to live by that will help you manage your time, your energy, your attention more effectively, right? I would recommend creating 8 to 10 rules. I think with that amount, you can really have fun with it, get creative, think through specific rules that you need to implement, and see how having these rules, this playbook to live by, might help you. If you want, and you want to take this list and run with it, it will be in the show description. Please do so, right? These aren't just my own rules that only I can live by. I'm sharing it on this episode for all of you to potentially take and run with. So if it feels right, if it feels aligned with you, do it. If you got to add some, add some. If you got to take some away, then, please do that. But please just at the bare minimum, create this list for yourself and see how having these rules helps you. What I have to offer to you outside of this podcast is 2 things. One, if you're looking to master your minute and develop your own personal daily, weekly, and monthly schedule, a lot of what we've kind of chatted about in some of these pockets of today's conversation, I do have a free 4-day video course called Master Your Minute. You can find that linked up in the show description. We've had over 1,200 students, I think, go through the course at this time. So if that's of interest, it's linked up below. If not, it's bobbyhobart.com/MYM video course. Once again, bobbyhobart.com/MYM video course. And that will help you master your daily, weekly, and monthly schedule. If you're looking for direct one-on-one support with time management, creating boundaries, lifestyle design, mindset, etc., I do have a one-on-one coaching program where I take on 4 to 5 clients at a time, and I will directly help you one-on-one on a weekly basis with coaching calls, with text communication, and so forth. If you want to learn more about that program, my Lost and Limitless coaching program, head over to bobbyhobart.com/coach. Once again, bobbyhobart.com/coach, or that will also be linked up in the description below. If you want to support this show, you can do one of 2 things. Screenshot this episode, post it to your IG story, tag me at Bob-A, B-O, 3 B's, 4 A's and Y, and let me know what you thought of this episode. That helps grow the show tremendously. If you would like to rate the show, that's also a huge help. Spotify, we're at 128 reviews with a 4.9 rating. Let's go. And then on iTunes, we have 95 reviews at a 4.8 rating. Let's go. That's it. I hope you guys and gals enjoyed this episode. I will see you soon enough. Have a great rest of your day, your week, your month. Enjoy whatever you have in front of you, no matter where you are in the world. I appreciate your time and appreciate your energy listening to this episode. We'll see you next time. It's the Bearded Man Podcast.